Hey everybody, we just wanted to come on and let you guys know how the trip went. Sabrina's first time driving that Vita for a long period of time, 1,200 miles. And before we get started, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek. It actually went great. She did fantastic, and I do not say that often.
No, I was actually pretty surprised when we'd stop at the nights and he would say, "You did really well today." I'm like, yeah, I think I did.
So we left Virginia. We stayed at a KOA. We were at this KOA in Wythville for 6-7 months. Very nice KOA. We definitely recommend it, and we would definitely go back again. So they were super nice. They took very good care of us. I feel like the staff there bent over backwards to make sure that we were comfortable for the 6 months. And like I said, we would definitely go back. So our first day of driving went really smooth. We had blue skies. The traffic was light. Sabrina and I were using walkie-talkies. I was leading us using our RV GPS, and she would just follow right behind me. We kept about maybe 60 miles an hour, and you did fine. Merging and everything. It really went smooth, and we were actually surprised of how much better the walkie-talkies made the trip. So I could let her know if I was about to pass somebody or if I was going to hold back. I let her know how soon we were getting off an exit, and it was just quick and easy to grab it, talk real fast, say what we needed to say, and get off. We were thinking about using our phones, but we recommend the walkie-talkies. If you've never used them before on a caravanning trip, the walkie-talkies were a lot of fun and made the trip easy.
Yeah, I could even tell him when there was a detour coming up and he didn't notice.
You know what? A lot of times, like when you have somebody following you, you're more concerned, or at least I am. I was more concerned with, was she keeping up with me? And I did not. She caught it. Yeah, I didn't notice that there was a detour coming up. There was a bridge that was out a couple miles ahead. And she caught it, got on the walkie-talkie, let me know, and we were able to avoid a potential disaster. Belle was my co-pilot. A lot of people were asking, who will Belle ride with? Belle drove with me up here because we felt that Sabrina did not need any more distractions than necessary back in the Vita. Belle's really good for the most part. She just sat in the co-pilot seat up here and slept most of the way, and then got super excited every time we would stop at a rest area or anywhere really along the way. Sometimes we would just stop at parking lots sometimes, and I would let her out, and she would see Sabrina, and she'd get all crazy, and she loved every time we stopped because she knew that she was going to see Sabrina again. I think when we first left, she thought that we left Sabrina behind. So the first time she saw her at the rest area,
oh my goodness,
she made a pretty big deal about seeing her, like she'd never seen her before. But I would say that's Belle's most favorite thing about traveling in the RV, is that she loves when we stop and she gets to smell the area that we're in. So she does a little exploring. So when we would stop overnight somewhere, or even when we were stopping for lunch, we would try to fit all 3 of our vehicles into one space so that we weren't hogging up too much of an area. So that's our Vista, our car, and the Vita. And for the most part, it worked out really well. The rest areas we were able to fit all in one location. The Cabela's we stopped at one night was very nice. If you never stayed at Cabela's overnight, they have awesome parking lots with RV spaces, usually a dump station there, and there's usually lights and cameras.
We tried to get there super early too.
We do. We try to get there before dark to make sure that you can get a spot. I mean, we recommend that for no matter where you're going, even a campground. But yeah, we always try to stop before it gets dark, before other people are starting to think about stopping for the night. And then we just leave super early the next day to make up for it. We were doing really good at that, actually. We were leaving at 7:30 in the morning every day.
That's earlier than we usually leave in normal life.
It is. But I wanted to be sure that we had enough time with you not feeling crazy comfortable driving. You don't like driving as it is. And the Vita's easy to drive. I drove it, and I would say it drives more like an SUV than an RV. But
yeah, you almost have to be careful, though, because it drives so much like an SUV that you forget that there's this big box behind you.
Yeah.
So I know a couple times, not on this trip, but I know when I first started driving it, you were like, watch out for the overhang! But it was fine on this trip. I consciously had to think about the fact that, okay, you've got a big box behind you. You're not just zipping around, but it drives really well.
Yeah, it is easy to forget that it is larger than it feels like when you're driving. It has crosswind stability, lane assist, brake assist. It just drives really smooth. So you do kind of forget, okay, I am in a larger vehicle than normal. But yeah, you did great. So that was the theme that we tried to keep, though, throughout the whole trip was, let's try to take up as little spaces as possible. And it worked everywhere except for that Flying J. We stayed at a Flying J one night. I hate to say the Flying J was terrible because it's one of my favorite spots to stay overnight, but it was tough. It was, not only were the spaces short, but they were also very narrow. So we were luckily we knew each other and we were together. So we were able to park both vehicles really close together, closer than you would if you didn't know the person. And we were able to stay there that night. And it's kind of funny. Nobody else stayed there.
No. But it might have been the buses that were coming in to transfer, the long distance buses that were transferring people.
It could have been that, but I think it was just because the spaces were too tight.
They were pretty narrow. Yeah. They were pretty narrow. Because we had a big plan before we actually saw the whole layout of, all right, I'm going to park on the end, give us a little extra space in the Vista, blah, 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 blah. And then we got there, we're like, that's not going to work. Yeah. Forget the plan.
I think the only day that we had a rough time driving was through Cincinnati, because there was construction, there were detours, traffic, and I guess it made you a little nervous going through the construction zones.
Yeah, I won't say you left me behind, but you left me behind.
I did.
There was one time where you actually called me on the phone. You're like, I can't reach you on the walkie-talkie, and I don't see you. And I'm like, yeah, I had to slow down because just even going through the construction zone. So there's lane assist on the Vita, but it doesn't know that we're going through construction zones. So it's always trying to keep me in the lane, but sometimes I'm actually not signaling and crossing the lane because that's the direction that the lane they're taking us now. And so I slowed down just so I could keep it under control and return that thing in one piece.
Yeah. You can turn the lane assist off, but when you're driving and you're already in the construction zone, that might be a little difficult. I guess if you had a co-pilot with you.
Yeah, you could do it. It's not terrible. I wouldn't recommend doing things, but you can do it. It's
just on the touchscreen. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, they do make it easy. I would recommend if you had a co-pilot with you, they could be turning the lane assist off in those situations.
And I thought it was kind of helpful when you're in the construction zone in the narrow lanes. It's making sure you're not too close to the wall. So I didn't really want to get rid of it completely, but I just was slowing down to pay a little more attention. Not that I wasn't paying attention before or anything.
I think when we went through Cincinnati, not only was it traffic and detours and construction, but I think that was the day it rained a lot too. Right after we got through the construction, it started pouring the rest of the way. But again, you did. I can't say this enough. She really did really well.
Can I say?
So much better than I was expecting. I was having nightmares about how this trip was going.
What were you expecting?
I was having nightmares because I've been in the car with you and you terrify me in a car. So I was just like, oh, she'll never be able to keep up with me. We're going to be constantly adjusting speed, but it was smooth throughout the whole thing.
He's just a little uptight when I drive. It's not that I'm a terrible driver, people. He's just uptight.
I would say that her driving did not stress me out at all. It was just, just the normal trip experience that gets you sometimes. Like the first spot that we tried or the second night we try to stop somewhere, you get there and there's no sites available or no spaces available, and you got to continue to drive a little bit further than you were planning. But, it makes for a boring video, I guess. But we really have nothing more to say than that it went really smooth. It was great. And then I think after we left that Flying J with the tight spots, we made it to Winnebago. So what was it, 3 days of driving? 3 full days of driving, and we showed up on the fourth day.
Yes.
So 3 full days of her driving and us driving. Showed up to Winnebago on the 4th day, gave back the Vita, and it's been amazing to have this Vita. I know I've thanked them 1,000 times, and I've thanked them on Instagram, because one thing you guys may not know, Winnebago, when they gave us the Vita, they said, look, don't write about it. You don't have to talk about it on your
They didn't want anything in return.
They didn't want anything in return, and I said, we can't do that. I said to them, you guys have no idea how much this means to us. How big of a way you're coming through to kind of relieve a lot of stress for us. I said, I'll have to make videos about it. I'll have to tell people on Instagram. I know a lot of times people say, oh, you shouldn't brag that you're doing something nice for somebody or something like that. But I always feel like if you let people know that you're doing something nice, maybe it encourages them to do something nice as well. So I told Winnebago, I said, we don't have to let people know just how great you guys were and how well you treated us. So I'm going to say it one more time. Thank you again, Winnebago, even though they don't see our videos, even though they don't watch us.
And I will say, even on the last day when we had the Vita, before we actually started the trip, I had said something about, I'm really going to miss having this space to be able to concentrate. And it's not your fault or anything, but I mean, sometimes you just have to walk around and sometimes you're breathing. And it was like, I have to breathe.
I do have to breathe, yes.
It's like, I don't know. So I'm gonna miss that aspect of it.
Yeah, I think Winnebago didn't realize how much we would use that Vita, because we used it not only for like social distancing when she was in the hospitals, but she was using it for telemedicine. She was using it sometimes for after work. She would go in there for like a quiet space to do her notes or just like kind of read and study. And
it was great. It was great.
It really was great. We're all miss it. We're definitely all miss
Now
it.
I have to hear you humming cheers while I'm trying to concentrate.
It's a great theme.
Oh my goodness.
Everybody wants to go where everybody knows your name.
Oh my goodness.
So that was the whole drive experience. It really did go much better than I was anticipating, which is, that's a good thing. I'll take it.
It went better than I was anticipating. I was really excited. Like when I got there, I was ready to like get down on the ground and be like, oh my goodness, I brought it back in one piece. But not that I was expecting anything bad in case Winnebago's watching. And then I was also nervous about the fact that it's diesel and we put gas in our RV. So when I'd get to the pump, I would have to say diesel, 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 just to make sure I didn't pick up the wrong pump and put gasoline in the diesel engine. Oh, yeah. So, yes, that's what I was doing when I went to the pump.
I believe it. It's a catastrophe if you put gasoline in it. So, yeah.
That's what you told me before we started. So every time I pull up to a pump, I'm like, diesel, diesel, diesel. I know it's green and green, but still, I would have to say that over and over to remind myself.
All right, everybody. So that was our story. We're sticking to it. We hope everybody's doing well. We're currently in Minnesota making this video, but by the time it's released, we'll be gone already. And it is snowing.
Snowing. I looked outside and I was like, I did this to us again.
It's going down to 15 degrees. Just the way we like it. All right, everybody. So take care, safe travels, and we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.